Hello everyone, my name is Peter John Honan. I'm the Executive Director of the Border Education Project, and I'm going to share with you a book I wrote many years ago about learning the guitar in a classroom. And with online learning now so big, this is going to be a great activity if you want to learn the guitar right in the comfort of your own home. So this book I wrote, let me back up a little bit. I was a public high school teacher and for 25 years, and I was assigned a guitar class, classroom guitar, and it was interesting because it was about 35 students, but the school supplied no guitars. So 35 students, no guitar for a guitar class. I brought my own. I had 5 of my own, which I allowed my students to use. And some students brought their own guitar. But it was about a year and a half, basically, that I was teaching the guitars with no guitars. So not only that, but I didn't even have a textbook for teaching guitar. So what I did one summer, the summers I had off, is I spent one whole summer writing this book on how to teach guitar in the classroom. So I've been there, done that. I've done this for teaching through this book for 20 years, and well, maybe 17 years. And so it's what I use. So we're going to go through this online and learn guitar this way. So as an introduction, the guitar is the world's most popular musical instrument. They estimate there's 7 million guitar players worldwide. Now that's off the internet, so it's got to be true. And so it's by far the world's most popular musical instrument. You can go to any country in the world and find guitar players. You can look at any musical style that you can think of, and the guitar plays a part in it. So it's a very popular instrument. But the way they teach how to play guitar, on virtually any book you have, is teaching you how to read music. So, but it turns out that most guitar players, even famous professional ones, don't read music. None of the Beatles could read music. So music notation was invented centuries ago to record music and store it. But now when we have all this electronic technology, that can store this music, and we don't need music notation. So many guitar books, they just hammer the music and trying to teach a skill that is not really needed in popular music today. So what we're going to do instead of reading music is to use a piano keyboard as a visual aid for understanding music. Because you don't have to read music, but you do have to understand how music works. So you have to understand scales and harmonies and melodies and sharps and flats and chords and keys and all of these things, which we will cover, but without having to learn music. So just let me explain the role of art in life today, and music and painting are the arts. So let me give you my theory about how this works. Now, I have many theories. This is Honan theory number 23. So just bear with me as we go through this. Okay, so a good way to think of art is like a mirror. Okay, so it is a mirror. And we have life over here. I don't know if it's okay, that's a representation of life. And what art does is give us a reflection of life. Life So we can see it better. We can understand life better because we're seeing it through this mirror of art. So good art will do that. It'll teach us more about life. So art is always imitating life. So whatever happens in life, you're going to have in art. So in the case of music composers, they took the sounds they heard in life and then made music out of them. So what kind of sounds did they hear? Oh, well, they heard birds singing, and they heard the wind blowing, and they heard nature, and that music had that sound to it. However, when we entered the industrial age, machines took over, and the sounds of machines took over. And it turns out, and so the art, the music reflected that. So when we had music, so I think when you get, this is where the electric guitar came in, because the sound it makes was kind of a mirror of the sound of these machines that people heard. And that main machine was the automobile. And if you could think of a fuzzed out electric guitar making it sound, it's a musical reflection or interpretation of the automobile. So art reflects life. And so this is the idea that we're thinking about with guitars and what they do. Now there's three things you have to develop to be a good guitar player. You have to develop your brain, you have to develop your ears, and you have to develop your fingers. All three of them. And the cool thing about this book is that it shows you activities to develop all of these things. So the brain is obviously an important one there. And so this is where that music theory comes in handy. You don't have to learn to read music, but you have to understand music theory, which this book will give you. The next thing is the ear. So you have to train your ear to hear things a lot more than you used to. So you have to be able to hear two sounds and tell whether it's the same thing called pitch. And so being trained to do something is a little different from learning how to do something. So you may train a dog or a Marine, or that's very different from just learning something. So this ear training is kind of the same thing. So this happens over time. And some people, their ears get trained quickly, some people take longer, everybody's different. The next one is the fingers. So you play guitar with fingers, and another theory, this is Hohmann theory number 27, is that about 50% of musical ability is genetic, or you get it from your parents, and the other 50% you learn. That's my theory. So to be a good guitar player, you kind of have to be lucky and have parents as your parents, grandparents, et cetera. Because a lot of that I feel is born, so a lot of it is luck. But the other half is learned, so we'll go, so this is where this book comes in handy. So you're going to learn all these different things. Some people ask me, well, here, let me back up. There's a famous guitar player named Andre Segovia who he would always have parents come to them who had young children, and they wanted their young children to begin learning guitar, and they would ask him, what's the best time to begin to learn to play the guitar? And he would always say, long before you are born. And when I thought about that, it was interesting because when my ex was pregnant with my daughter, I would sit in front of her and play the guitar while she was still in utero. So she was hearing, so in effect she was doing that. Hearing, studying music long before her birth, but such things will happen. Now, I'm assuming that you have downloads of both guitar books, the student and the teacher editions, because we're going to be working with those, so I'm assuming you have it in front of you. Now, if you don't, there will be links to show you where you can download those. So the first thing we have is this piano keyboard, and we're going to use it as a visual aid to understand music. And because the confusing thing about a guitar is that you can play the exact same note 4 or 5 different places on the guitar. Exact same note. C, the E above middle C. You can play that 4 or 5 places on a guitar. So it's very confusing because you have to think, well, where should I play it? I have all these choices. Now the piano is different. Every single note is laid out right in front of your eyes. So you play a note on a piano, you play C, E above middle C, that's that one note, and it ain't nowhere else. So it's much less confusing to use this as opposed to these other ways of teaching. So we have the piano keyboard. Now this is made up of 12 notes. Well, I see more than that here. Well, here, let's just go. In high school, I used to have a real struggle in getting students to sing. They had been great guitar players, but they were maybe shy or bashful about singing. So, you know, that's something that you just have to overcome. But what a lot of people don't realize is that your voice is a musical instrument that you can develop the same way you can develop your skills on a flute or a guitar or a piano. It's this instrument that you develop and you practice at. Not too many people are born with, you know, tremendous natural talent that let them go and make a lot of money as a singer. The voice has to be developed, just like any other musical instrument. Now, when you work with a lot of songs and a lot of different singers, you will find that some singers aren't comfortable in whatever key your song might be in. So what you have to do is change the key, and that's usually to make it easier for the singer to sing. And I can tell you myself, I have a songbook of over 400 songs, and many of those I had to change the key to a key that I was comfortable for me singing. So everyone's got a different key, so understanding how to change a key, and this is called transposition, is very important if you're serious about playing guitar, because at some point or another, yeah, your guitar playing might be good, but people want to hear singing, and hopefully, and they want to hear good singing too. So this transposition is a part of that. So I'm going to walk you through an example of a song I wrote, gosh, I think I was back in a teenager back then. So let's look at that. Now I'm going to demonstrate transposition with this song, A Gift to Give, which I think I wrote that when I was a teenager, all about unrequited love. But so I'm going to walk through this. So now if you're looking at the song here, here's the name of the song, and these are what they call the lyrics, so they're the words to the song. And then the chords are the chords that you play while you're singing the song. Now so what we're doing up here is we're changing the song from the key of C to the key of G. Okay, so the first step, and you notice you have the numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are like the numbers of the chords. So, the key of C, first thing you do is write down the notes in the key of C. So, you would lay your major scale chart down here. And you would look down here to see the row of letters to C. Here it is right here. Okay, so if we look at this and move it over here, the 1 is the C. Okay. 2 is D. Everybody, 3 is E. Ready to get in the hang of this? Okay, 4 is F. So it's all here. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. G, A, B. Okay, so those are the notes in the key of C. What, now the notes in the key of G. Well, we're going to go and look at this till we find the row of letters beginning with the key of G. And we just copy these letters in here. Now, if you notice this, these are all the letters without sharps or flats, except for the 7 here. You'll notice that's an F sharp. All the rest are just easy letters. Okay, so let's write those down up here. G, A, B, C, D, E, and F sharp. Okay, so we have those two sets of, so these are the notes in the key of C. These are the notes in the key of G. Okay, so then what you do, okay, you take this letter here, okay, that's C, so that's one up here. We're going to change this to the G. So what you do, you write down the letter right below that. So we're going to cross out that C and write a G. Okay, everybody see that? D, okay, here's D here, the letter below that is A. Okay, here's A minor. Now the M doesn't make any difference. The letter is all we're worried about. If it's a minor here, you keep it a minor. Okay, so A minor would become E minor. Everybody see that? Now, so we've already done these, so that should be easy. Replace the C with a G. Replace the D with an A. Now notice that this makes you realize how repetitive music is and how it repeats itself. And once you see that, it's so much easier to actually play it because you don't have to learn something 3 times. You learn it once, you figure out where it goes, and you can learn a lot quicker. Okay, here's an F. F becomes C. G becomes D. A minor becomes E minor. So all you're doing here, you're finding these numbers, these letters up here, and just writing the letter directly below is all you do here. And that will change this song from the key of C to the key of G. So now I'm going to give you, I'll put in there somewhere what this sounds like. So you hear the song, get a little more familiar with it. Position, and once you have that down, congratulations. You know all you need to do to get in the band and have fun. Just to wrap up on the blues scale, so we have the fingerboard here, and all these little circles are notes of the A blues scale. This is called the A blues scale, the A scale. So anywhere these circles are within that A blues scale. So what I played earlier was just using these notes. And the ones, and now again, these are broken up into these different diagrams or positions. So to make it easier to play, because you look at that and oh man, that's not really, even if I have this in my head, it might be kind of confusing. So generally what guitar players do is they learn these little positions, or you just call it diagrams. So This one is, so these are the ones that are broken apart from this. So, so what I just played, I was using this one a lot, and I was using also this one. So those are ones I use, but every musician is different, and they'll have different ones that they play with here. So normally, just to summarize, when you hear your favorite guitar player just shredding away, he has this in his head somehow, and it kind of gives him guide to all the different possibilities of music that he can play. That's what these scales do. On page 39 and 40, they talk about, or I talk about, the circle of fifths. So this is a good activity to do and to try to understand, because it's part of the brain work of playing guitar. As I said, there's three things you need to develop to play the guitar. Your fingers, your ears, and your brain. So this is a really good brain exercise. So if you turn to page 40, you'll notice it has this little chart of the circle of fifths. Now I could have just shown you the circle of fifths and explained it from there, but I think doing it this way and actually creating it yourself is the best way to learn about these, and it's a very, very useful element of that musical intelligence, the circle of fifths. That's what we're trying to develop there. So I'll let you struggle with that. It has the directions on page 39 so follow them very closely, and it'll be a good little brain music exercise. We're playing the regular third. Take that finger off, we're flatting it, and it has a totally different sound. And that's a very common thing you hear in songs too. It'll just be playing the minor, and then we shift to the major. A very common stylistic device in music. The seventh chord. Okay, that's where you add the 7. Remember, it's always odd numbers, but it's flatted, so it would sound like this. So we're adding that 7th right here. And that gives it that sound, that 7th sound. That's used a lot in jazz and rock. The 7th chord, very, very popular chord. Minor 7th, we're going to flat the 3rd, so that would sound something like this. It sounds very similar to the minor chord. Very similar. So that's the minor 7th. Major 7th has a sound. So this is one of those chords, very mellow. We use a lot in jazz. 1, 3, 5, 7. Now the power chord is used a lot in music, metal, rock, and all the power chord is 1 and 5. So it's a simpler form of these chords, just playing 1 and 5. So that would sound something like. So those 2 notes you played is just the 1 and the 5. So that's another option you have. So those are the chord forms you're going to use the most. So this is good because the goal is you want to be able to hear it and see it. So you see what makes it a minor chord, and you hear the sound that these numbers make. So you're working on the ear training, working on the brain training, finger training, everything is here. with chord forms. The bass guitar is discussed on page 42 of the book, and I used to have students in my 20 years as a guitar teacher where they would say, "Oh, I don't play the bass, I just play guitar," or "Oh, I don't play the guitar, I just play bass." But really, bass guitar is just another kind of guitar. Again, a guitar is a guitar is a guitar. And it's just a guitar that has fat strings, big fat strings. Other than that, it's just like very similar to acoustic guitar. And it just leaves out some notes, so we'll come back to all that. So the challenge of a bass, playing a bass guitar, is that you can't, we talked about chords earlier, well, you can't really play chords on a bass because the strings are tuned too low, and you play them together and they don't sound good together like they do on a regular guitar. So in that case, a bass guitar is different from a regular guitar in that you can't play these chords the same way. So the way you actually play the chords, though, is you play the notes of the chord one after the other. So this is this little system that's set up here to do that. Later on, I'll actually demonstrate on a bass. This is a bass guitar, and it has these fat strings that I mentioned, and it has 4 strings, whereas the acoustic guitar would have 6 strings. So what they did on here was they got rid of those top 2 skinny strings, kept the bottom 4 ones, made them nice and fat, so you get a very low bassy sound like this. So you can't play chords on a bass, so what you have to do is play those numbers, say the chord, whatever chord it is, 1, 3, 5, play those numbers not at the same time, but one after the other. So an example would be, if I wanted to play a blues song, I could play this. Now when I'm playing there, I'm playing the 1, the 3, the 5, the 6th, and then the flatted 7th. Playing the same notes of the chord, but just one after the other. So in the book they have a tablature thing where you write on the guitar tablature what notes you're playing, and you can read that off of the book too. So using this in that 12-bar blues might be something like this. So that was covering all those 12 bars. So that's the key to the bass. You play it a little different way. The accepted way to play it is with your fingers here, these 2 here. Many players play it with a pick, a guitar pick. Again, there's no right or wrong way to do it. But playing with your fingers, you get more of that bass sound. It might sound something like this. So you can play with a pick too. You get different settings on it. So, but the main thing about a bass is You don't really want to hear it, you want to feel it. That's when you know you have a great bass sound, when you feel it. You don't hear it, you feel it. So there's certain rock songs that have it. That have just that bass sound that you hear, and it just makes the song sound so much better with those little, you're hearing the song, but you're also feeling